One of the most important skills that you are going to need to know to be able to operate in this virtual online world is the ability to speak to a camera. The most valuable skill, the most transferable skill. Not only will learning how to talk enable you to be able to create video content that you can then use to tell your story about your life and reach the entire species with what your message entails. It'll also help you in your personal relationships, in your relationships with your friends, with your family, with your partners, with your dating potential matches. All of these people will benefit from having you being able to use your words in the most efficient way. And it's not just your choice of words, it's everything else. It's the way you speak. It's how fast you speak. You can notice if I'm speaking this quickly compared to if I'm taking it slower. And I'm talking about this. And it depends on what word do you want to pronounce or have be powerful. You can see there's so much difference between how we can change the way that we speak. It's not just all about the words, although the words are very powerful and very useful. And you see what I'm doing here with my hands, very, very useful when telling a story. Be animated, get it out there. And of course, it depends on the story, what you're trying to get across. There are some stories that are quite sad, and you don't really want to be jumping around like this and saying a very sad story. But a lot can be amplified with hand gestures, hand movements, telling the story as much as you can by living it out, being animated, being alive, being interesting to look at and listen to. And over time, you get better at this. It's an amazing skill, and I love it. I love speaking to a camera, but I've trained myself to be able to be good at doing this. And I still can see, I go back over, I watch my own videos perhaps more than anybody does in the whole world because I learn from myself. I analyze, I look at mistakes I made. I said this wrong, I didn't say that right, I stuttered here, I did whatever. Learn from yourself the most. Watch your content the most. Understand your strengths and weaknesses the most. When I first started out making videos online, I was just talking over images. I'd record myself and then in the editor, I'd get images and then I wouldn't even show my face. It took quite some time to be able to be confident enough to just show my face. And now I can do a live stream off the cuff on a subject of my choice. For my live stream slash podcast that I did with meditation, I didn't plan that. I knew I was going to talk about meditation, and I've spoken about meditation at length, so I already knew kind of some of the subjects I'd get into, but I didn't plan, 10 minutes in at this part, I'm going to transition into my story about Vipassana. Even this video that I'm doing right now, I know what is required to be engaging on camera, but I didn't sit here and think, okay, I'm going to have this. At precisely 30 seconds, I will transition into this. And then at this part, I will say this part just like this. I didn't have any of this planned. This is coming off the top of my head. But I know about this subject. I don't think I could do the same about what it's like to run a burger joint. I just don't have that experience, that knowledge. But when you get good at something, when you know something, when you've lived something, when you've done thousands of hours of this particular field or subject, you just know it. But then it's being able to translate it to someone, because you could be the best in your field at whatever it is, but if you can't talk, if you can't be engaging, if you don't know how to tell your story, nobody's going to care. We might be tiny few people that will care, and they can get past the fact, and they've like transcended their human nature. But the vast majority of people haven't done that much self-work, and you still want to reach these people. You don't want to be too exclusive and only target the smallest percentage of people, right? Unless you are deliberately going for that. But I'm going to assume, like pretty much everybody else who puts their content out there, you want to reach as many people that you can, in terms of you want to reach everybody that's going to benefit from your content. You wouldn't be making content just to show it to one person. If 100 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people could benefit from what you're saying, or even more. That is the great potential with speaking on the internet. And when you get a bit of traction, when you get a bit of momentum, and you've got a bit of a footing, the algorithm, especially on Instagram or TikTok, can send you sky high, surprise you. You just one day, you're making videos, you've got your usual following, you're kind of happy, you're getting this set amount of views for your content, you kind of know how well it's going to perform, you just get a feel for it. Then one day, just like happened to me recently, just last week, I made a video and it went viral. Within a few days, it has 1 million views and it's now at 2.1 million views, and that's because of the algorithm. Now, a friend commented on this video saying, it's not your best. I don't get why this video, of all videos, the algorithm picked up. And of course, by the time I'd even spoken to my friend about this, I'd already watched this video 50 times. I'd already analyzed every single second of that 31-second video because I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And I've done it before with my last most popular video on Instagram that got picked up by the algorithm. I'd already analyzed that video so much. I knew exactly why that got picked up. And that only got about 50,000 views. And at the time, I was really happy with that. I was amazed by that. And that got me a good few hundred followers. But then, of course, I've done it again with this latest video. And there's a few key things that I'm going to share with you. You can take this knowledge and utilize it, and maybe you will also be getting millions of views. But of course, just take into consideration, it helps if you have a bit of a following on Instagram. With TikTok, it's a little bit different, but the algorithm is a little bit different. You have a little bit of a following on Instagram, then it knows that your general following will look at your videos for this sort of amount of time, and if you've produced something that's of higher quality, then your usual followers will be more engaged and they will look more at the video, they'll watch more of the video, right? So that's what happens, and then it can just get picked up. And why did this video get picked up? Well, there's a few reasons. One, the hook. Instantly, I'm telling people it's the end of the world. People are like, what? Why is it the end of the world? What's going on here? The caption is 10 days left, and this guy is talking about a doomsday prediction from Greta. Okay, so this is another thing. I've played on the fame of somebody else. Now, if you're not famous and you'd like to increase your audience, this is one way to boost your audience, boost your reach, because you're using someone else's fame in kind of like an Aikido sort of fashion. I used Greta's fame to make a joke about Greta at her expense, and with good reason, because she made a ridiculous prediction that was saying about if we don't change the way we're going in 5 years, it's going to be this tipping point and humanity is basically doomed to destruction. She deleted that tweet. I wonder why. So there's a couple of things, right? So there's the hook. I got people engaged straight away. It's a very interesting subject, the end of the world. And then another thing, I deliberately misinterpreted the tweet for humor purposes because I was making a joke, you know, that's kind of what you do with a joke. But this triggered lots of normies. They are engaging on the post saying, you can't read, you didn't read the tweet, your reading comprehension, da 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 da, you shouldn't be. So all of that actually helps the video. It gets it more views and comments, and the algorithm's like, wow, whatever's going on here, people like to speak about it. So I'm going to show this to more people. So thanks everybody who did that. It was very, very useful. So that's a few points, right? Then as well, throughout the video, I'm asking the audience, what are you going to do with your last days? How are you going to spend the last few days we have on this planet? And humor's wrapped in the whole thing, and the delivery was on point, and it was only a 31-second video. But these all combined together to create a very engaging video. And that's all it takes, 30 seconds of effort. This was the second take of that video. And what I've noticed is you will just capture a vibe. I've had before the intention, I know I'm going to make this video and it's going to get a lot of views because of this, and I analyze it to death, and I'm almost word by word, I've planned exactly what I'm going to say. That's not how I've generally found success on getting videos to be picked up by the algorithm and seen by huge amounts of people. There's something about capturing the vibe, and this ties into spirituality and being on this journey, because I've dedicated my life to this. I've dedicated my life to God, to serving humanity. So when I'm in a good flow, in a good state, I'll continuously have these thoughts and I'll be pondering subjects, and then I'll start having an idea, and it will sort of start to float into my reality. It will be on my radar. There will be this idea for a video. And occasionally the idea to being on my radar to actually coming out in a video can be very fast. You can be in the same day. Sometimes it's a couple of days. I sort of mull over it. I can sort of see and feel it. But sometimes a video just has to get out there now. And I see that when I share stuff on my Open One podcast page, which is a bit of a general sort of media page on Instagram where I share all sorts of political content. And I can see something, I'm like, it's got to get out there now. I can just feel it. And a few times posts have gone viral because you just have this feeling. For like videos where it's just me and I'm just speaking like this, it's a selfie video, then yeah, the idea can bubble over a little bit, but you have to take action on this idea. You have to bring it to fruition kind of soon, because if you leave it too long, the energy sort of dissipates. But you can let bubble on it for a little bit. It doesn't have to come out straight away every time. But I've noticed there is just this vibe you will capture. You can, over time, you'll feel it. You might not quite understand what I'm talking about when I say I capture a vibe, but you get in this game long enough, you make enough videos, you look at the news long enough, and it doesn't have to be the mainstream news. Like, there are many other ways now with the alternative media being so strong. I can get what I want from the latest political updates, but I get the alternative spin on it. And if I want to, I can give a quick glance over the mainstream media, but it's only because this is part of my field, it's part of what I do. Not everybody has to be tuned in to what the mainstream media is doing and the latest current events, but this is a way to utilize the attention that gets generated from the mainstream political system. Because if you're just starting out, you need to get traction in the audience and from somewhere. And what you can then do is use the attention that comes from mainstream media, but then put your own spin on it, get Aikido, Judo flip their energy to your page, your movement, and then on your page, on your website, whatever, there you have high quality content that isn't just sensational in the moment, speaking about the latest thing or some kind of joke that's just a little bit controversial just to get attention. Because that is sort of the digital economy right now. It is attention. Can you get people's attention? Are you engaging and interesting enough? Do you have a good enough story that people are going to want to pay attention to you? And then once you get that attention, yeah, you bring them to your high quality content that's actually going to serve them in some way. It doesn't just entertain to some degree, it actually can change their life. And for me, I have a few different kinds of videos on my, say for example, my Instagram page. Some of them will be deep spiritual ones, some will be advertising a service or a product. And then if people over time, they'll see enough of you, they'll hear enough of you, and if you're talking to them and they are really starting to resonate with your words, and they might comment on a post, you engage on it, you start to build up a bit of a reputation like that, or a connection like that, and they see that they can trust you to some degree, then they might actually visit your website, and that's a step up. Somebody just casually following you on social media, they're scrolling and they see your face occasionally, and over time they just they like what you say, and you keep saying stuff that resonates with them, and they go to your site, and then they might see the pop-up and subscribe to your newsletter where you're offering your free ebook, and they read your ebook, and now they're actually even a more deeper connection to you. And you might not have actually even spoke to them yet. You may have, you may not. But then there could be something that gets them quite close to you in terms of digital worlds. For example, you could do a podcast, and on that podcast, you do a live stream. It's a special edition, or you always do it live, and you can invite people to join you on the Zoom meeting. I've had that before. People join on the Zoom meeting, they ask questions, you can build relationships like that. I've had clients come through like that. I've had business partners or opportunities come through just from putting myself out there and having a Zoom meeting and people come and join. All sorts can happen when you really start to put yourself out there. So these are some of the tips and tricks that I've learned over the past 10 years of being in this field, nearly 11 years now. And this is how you can build up your audience, build up your influence, and start to make real change in this world. Because I've seen that one person can change the entire timeline that humanity is experiencing, for better or for worse. So I'm assuming as you are watching this video, you are somebody who wants to help people. You want people to be living the best life that they can, and you're interested in doing that via influencing people on the online marketplace, on the online digital worlds. And there's so much room for growth. Although there has been so much put out there in the online world, there's still so many people who are looking for new information, new guidance, and the way you talk, the way you look, everything about you will sit better with someone else compared to someone else who's speaking, and they might just not resonate with them as much as they resonate with you, because we're all different on the inside, all have a different life. So it's always worthwhile. If you have this calling inside of you, if you can feel it on the inside that you have a story to tell, you have loads of stories to tell, you want to help people like this, then you can get out there, you can get into the online world, and you can make real change in people's lives. And that's how I have been doing this for people over the years. I've reached a certain level of digital online success where I can survive, I can feed myself, and I can get all of the baseline survival covered from Wi-Fi money. That took many, many years of building up. And had I been a bit more business savvy back in the day when I first started out, I could have done this a lot quicker. But I was very passionate, and I was a lot more of the heart. I didn't have enough of this business mindset, right? So I learned sort of the hard way over time, but I'm sure I still was making positive change, and that was always my intention. That's the most powerful thing, is your intention. You've got to have that right. But then the second thing, how can you make money out of serving people? Because when you do, and you reach a certain threshold and you can get to the point where you can survive, that unlocks a whole nother world of time, right? If you, in your spare time, whilst you have a 9-to-5 job, can create a side hustle that is then matching your income or enough below it that you can still survive off of it and be okay, pay your bills, that's huge. Because then you can stop doing this, transition into this, and you have all of that free time, and you can seriously up level. And that's when we get into things like the upward spiral. It's very, very real. And once you pass certain thresholds, it's very hard to lose certain things. And I'm not saying you can't, but you just get onto this upward trajectory, this upward spiral. And when I got to a certain level of digital online success, I was like, I'm ready to coach people. I'm ready to be able to bring people to my level, because I can see there's still so far to go in my journey, in my adventure, not just spiritually, but in business and all of my skill sets, getting the best, becoming the best that I can be, becoming world class. I want to be the best that I can be in my select field. But I got to a point where I'm like, I can coach people to get to where I'm at. I'd already been doing coaching for a year by this point, but this is when it significantly went up a level. So I could confidently feel it. Before, I was just sort of experimenting. I was like, I like this. This is a cool field. I like the people that are in this field. I like what they're doing. I know I have a lot of the skills. I love being able to help people achieve their goals, and I'm a good listener, and I love people and psychology and getting to know the inner workings of someone, and with working together on a positive forward goal. But there was something about the fact that when I could finally survive, something in me triggered completely. It was just like, I'm ready. So, if you are somebody who's looking to get started in the online world, I'm here for you as your coach. And what the deal is we will have a free discovery call where it'll be just like this, but you're involved and it's online. We're just on Zoom. We have a chat. It's for free. It's usually about 30 minutes, but sometimes it goes over, if there's more details to cover. But we aim for about 30 minutes. That's generally enough time to know if there's going to be a heart-to-heart connection, right? Because it's not just being aligned in the vision and having a similar life path and being awake and on this journey. We have to have this heart-to-heart connection. We've really got to feel it together so that we both know that working together is going to be fruitful for us both. And if it is, then happy days, because together we can work on a project that's going to change your life, and in doing so, change the lives of who knows how many people in the future, which is amazing to think about. The butterfly effect, how powerful just one person standing in their truth, standing up for what's right, and creating positive, powerful projects to influence the whole species. How much that can create ripples that then inspire someone else, someone else, and this whole alternative timeline is just building, and it's just waiting for people to come and join and be a part of it. So if you feel like that's you, I'm here for you. So hop on a call with me. You can go to my website, traviscook.uk, and you can see there I have the coaching part of the site. You can have a little bit more of a read about who I am, watch some more of my content if you haven't already. I've got so much free content on there, so many videos. I've got like 30 something podcast episodes, all for free, loads of articles. You can really get to know who I am. And when you're ready, book a call, we'll hop on, and then we'll see what amazing change we can make together. Because of all of the work I've done, and I've done a lot of different jobs, all over the world during my time traveling and on the online scene. Coaching people has to be the most rewarding. It's the most powerful change that you can make in somebody's life in the smallest amount of time. It's just profound. And when somebody's ready to take that step up, it's the most fun, engaging, but also challenging work that I've ever done. So I'm very excited to be able to share this with people. I'd love to help you create the life that you want. Big ups.